Someone in the chat said, start New York. I think I want to escape from New York. What's up, everybody? It is Friday night, October 23rd, 2020. I am back once again. Welcome to this edition of the Don Tony Show. I am Don Tony, as always. I don't think I ever showed you that picture all the way down there. I don't know if you could see it. That's when I had that little thing with Louis many years ago, the thumbtacks, bottle to the head. I got to put those pictures online. You get a really good laugh about it. If I show the big pictures, I think everybody's going to say, oh my God, you sweat. Sweat. I mean, I don't sweat like I used to, but back then, Anyway, hope everybody is doing well. Hope everybody is safe. And I'll be here for about an hour to an hour and a half, giving you your SmackDown recap. If you look at the matches, very few tonight. Pay-per-view predictions for Hell in a Cell, only 5 matches announced so far, although we may get a 6th. I don't know if they're going to actually pull the trigger on Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn. Not a bad match to have at Hell in a Cell, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Got the quarter-hour ratings for AEW this week and NXT. And I might add, Minga, the buzz that this generated. Oh, my God. For people that can't stand AEW, why do you care that they did that? Shut up. Oh my God, they just complain and complain and complain. It's unbelievable. God. We'll talk about that a little bit later because I know some of you out there are very curious to know how that did in the ratings. But I'll tell you, WWE better start making some changes to NXT. All right? Yeah, Halloween Havoc next week. Spin the wheel, make the deal. The problem is that the outcomes of each match feels like they're too predictable. You can't have themed shows every single week. And I know it's a marathon, not a sprint. But I tell you, NXT is definitely developing a lot of stars for the future. No question whatsoever. Anybody that tries to say to you in 1995, we thought that Triple H was going to be this Hall of Fame superstar, they're full of it. Maybe some of the wrestlers and Triple H himself thought that, but as far as fans, no. There was no sign whatsoever. The Rock, being Rocky Maivia, the blue chipper, nobody in their wildest dreams ever thought that he would be the monster star that he is today. And you could go down the list with a lot of other stars. I guarantee you WCW never thought that Bill Goldberg would be maybe anything more than, former football player, big, strong physique. Sometimes magic happens. Unfortunately, this is not the mid-90s anymore. Hell, this is not even the early to mid-2000s anymore. It's funny, because I read some interviews over the last week, and they talk about, and a lot of this had to do with AEW. And I think one of them even had to do with Cody, where Cody said that WWE has not had any competition in 20 years. I got to be honest with you, man. His 20 years is a lot of you out there when I used to do the DTKC show. Oh, you guys have been doing it 20 years. More like 13 or 14. There's a big difference. And the reason why I say that, and it's not taking shots. I don't take shots towards anybody anymore. The new and improved DT. Build back better. Stole that from Biden. But, I think Cody seems to forget. NWA TNA, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, the X Division, Kurt Angle, and we could go on and on and on and on. 20 years ago was 2000, before WCW and even ECW went out of business. So I know he's generalizing it, but, maybe WWE hasn't had really strong competition in maybe 13, 14 years. Far cry from 20. But, I think we got to be a little concerned for NXT. because you see some of the stars that have come out of NXT to go to the main roster. You got some exceptions. Kevin Owens, who is a great star on the indies beforehand. Nakamura was a great star in Japan. Cesaro, maybe not the name caliber when he first came in as Antonio Cesaro, but you look at NXT and you look at some of the others who have been brought up over the last couple of years, doesn't always work out. And do you see anybody in NXT that could be the next megastars? Again, in 1995, a lot of people that we saw back then, maybe some we thought would be stars, but not on the level that they were. And it's not NXT is one megastar away of taking over and dominating the Wednesday Night Wars. No, it actually could be the opposite. You know, AEW is, you know, a full arena away and bringing in some stars from overseas, and Pac returns and some others return, and then they sign maybe a Thunder Rosa, maybe a little person here and there, get one or two people that wants a lighter schedule and leaves WWE with huge name value, and we might be actually onto something. You look at those ratings that we break down every week for NXT. You know, it's this week especially very, very concerning. And that's why I love doing these quarter-hour ratings, to give you a little bit more of a reality check. You know, like I said, I rather be straight up and authentic with all of you and honest and real. You know, there are people out there that everything is negative, everything is a complaint, everything is a one-liner attempt at comedic humor. And at the end of the day, they come off as bitter bitches. You know, there's some exceptions to the rule, like JD from New York. He wants the product to be better. You know, but there's some other people out there who will just knock everything for that like, for that heart. Got to be a little bit more realistic. We're not 10 years old anymore. We're in 5th grade and like making fun of wrestlers. And no, we're grown-ass adults. You know, do you want to tweet or do you want to eat? You know, if that's the legacy some people want to have on social media, God bless them. God bless them. They better hope to God that Twitter never goes out of business or the government does some wild stuff because of what's going on. My God. Let's go, Dodgers. Hey, I said about 6 or 7 months ago that I thought the Dodgers were going to win it all. I never thought that they would face Tampa Bay. I think I said Dodgers-Yankees back then, but I'd like to see the Dodgers get it. Seriously, I'd like to see LA get it. Has nothing to do with California, has nothing to do with, but I like to see California get it. I don't know why, but that's just me. So anyway, you know, we also got a couple other little tidbits here and there. Now, AEW Dynamite this Wednesday, there's a bunch of spoilers floating around the net. I am not going to get into them here. I don't know how accurate they are. One thing I find, you know, not funny, but, you know, glaring, is apparently Abaddon was injured. Injured during a match against Ty Conti to the point where she had to go to the hospital. Now, we don't know what her injury was. We don't know how long she's going to be out. She has not confirmed it either. But, you know, people that do matter, and as much as some of you don't like Meltzer, he's one that actually does matter. He confirmed it as well. But the thing is that a few people out there who claim that they were there and they wrote all these spoilers and getting all the tweet hand jobs. The one thing I find pretty interesting out of all of them is none of them could tell you what happened in Abaddon's match. And the funny thing is when people started really being pushed about it, they come back with this politically correct nonsense that, oh, out of respect to Abaddon, we're not going to reveal, or I'm not going to reveal what happened. The fuck does that mean? Seriously, she gets injured, something happened. No, let's leave everybody in speculation. That's when you know people are full of it. I love when people get caught. I love when people get exposed for fakeness, whether it's this small little white lie or something bigger. Bottom line is, though, is she is injured, and it was serious enough where the match just ended. She had to go to the hospital, and I know a lot of you out there send their thoughts and prayers to Abaddon. definitely someone that I have said repeatedly on the shows, yes, this kind of hurts when I slap my chest like this, but she should have been on Dynamite a hell of a lot more than AEW Dark. Yes, she's not the most polished. Yes, she still has a ways to go with training, but just the character itself, you know, I mean, I don't want to compare it to the Boogeyman. You know, I was never a huge fan of the Boogeyman, but he had his moments. Does anybody out there ever remember like an outstanding Boogeyman match? No, because you shouldn't. It's not what the gimmick was all about. Abaddon is like a freak, and that's how they should have portrayed her on Dynamite, but they didn't do it. But I wish her nothing but the best. So anyway, if you missed it this Wednesday, yours truly started Halloween a little bit early, and I figured we get a little extra week in there, and I dressed up as Mario, woo! And a lot of you out there were coming up with ideas for what I should do next week. So some of you already know what I'm going to dress up as next Wednesday. But next Wednesday, I will dress up for Halloween once again. And next Friday, I will dress up as well. So I have an idea of what I'm going to do next Friday. I'm not 100% certain yet, but I do know what I'm going to be next Wednesday. And if a lot of you out there liked the Mario outfit, I think you're going to like the next one even more. So, no, Spider-Man. First of all, Spider-Man was physically fit. I'm not physically fit. So a few of you actually came up with the same character. And I looked at it, you know, and let's be honest, you know, I still got, you know, a little bit here. I mean, I can make my tits jiggle if I want. And some of you nailed it with an idea, so I am going to be dressing up Wednesday. Dress up like Lars. I have the A&W Root Beer shirt. Anybody that's ever on Patreon, and I know I've posted the picture outside of Patreon as well, but there's an infamous picture, I don't have it in front of me, of myself and Mish. And if you look at that picture, I'm kneeling on my chair with no, maybe I could pull it up, but I'm leaning on my chair with no socks on. And I have an A&W Root Beer shirt on. And to this day, I still have people that'll say to me, hey, I found it. Okay, I found it. Here's the picture. This is the picture I'm talking about. All right, if you look at it up close, if I zoom in a little bit, all right, you see me over there? I got no socks on. I'm kneeling on my knees. I got the A&W shirt. That's a spoof of Lars, that infamous pose from the video. And it's all in good humor. I know he wasn't offended by it, you know, I as far as I know, but you know, I'm a Lars fan. I want to see this guy succeed. And, you know, I give this man all the credit in the world from staying away from social media. You know, obviously, you know, Mauro Ranallo is beloved by the wrestling world and beyond. Even Mauro Ranallo had to walk away from social media because of the toxic nature of it. And yeah, for me and for a lot of you out there, the biggest you could give to people on social media, whether they say stuff to your face or hide it in DMs or whatever else, the best is success. Unfortunately for others who have, you know, some battles with mental illness, that's not enough. And, you know, good for Lars to just walk away from social media, you know, post one, even Velveteen Dream not following anybody, not even allowing people to leave comments. And it triggers people because, look, Twitter goes down for 10 minutes and people are having, you know, meltdowns. You know, people out there, and I've brought this up even with Facebook. Good example. I don't go on Jason Solomonster's Facebook page anymore because a lot of it is toxic. And I find it funny because I'm always getting shots thrown towards me, which I can handle. But I always get a kick out of people who will start a thread, that is not, the theme is not anything negative about me. But what they do is they'll post it. It'll have to do with a topic or something that I said. And the reason why they write it is not because they want all these people to check my stuff out. It's because they know they'll get 50 people that will respond and say, DT, hard pass. Hell no. What are you, crazy? I hate that. And then, the floodgates go out. And then, no, this is not meant to be. You think I'm stupid? You think I was born yesterday? But the thing is for some of those people out there, they have this obsession to not only tell you what they're thinking all the time, but they have to be noticed. And case in point, you'll see on his page, and I know a lot of you going, it's not his fault, obviously, but they'll put up like a pay-per-view thread. All right, thread for Hell in a Cell. Everybody post your comments only in this thread. And what happens 50 to 100 times every pay-per-view? You get these people that don't want to be buried on page 6 of their comments about a particular match. No, they'll start a thread anyway. And they'll come up with ridiculous reasons. I know there's a thread, but because just speaking and socializing and having conversation is no longer enough. You have to separate yourself. You have to stand out. You have to post your own thing. And when it doesn't get attention, that's where all the insults and the one-liners and people, that are X amount of years are acting like they're 12. And then when that goes away, then it's, hey, everybody, think about me, pray for this, pray for that, blah, blah, blah. Everybody in the world's got problems right now. So I stay away. From the social. So I give credit to Lars and Velveteen Dream more than anything else. And again, if either one of them are caught or exposed of doing anything now in 2020 and beyond, I will be right there to rip them a new you-know-what as well. I think we all have to be a little bit careful from now on with ripping Joey Ryan. Told you this was going to happen. Let me pull up the guy's name, because I'll be honest, I'm not like a big fan of this guy. What's his name? Pel Primo. He wrestled the Ring of Honor. Now I know a lot of you know about the scandal. Pel, I think, was married, and Joey Ryan, had relations with Pel's wife, but apparently they were engaged at the time, and Joey Ryan had no idea, and this and that. And look, I have criticized Joey Ryan quite a bit, but I have also said as well, somebody who loves sex and maybe manipulates, this is obviously, limitations, but, I always bring up the example going to a club. You kind of like lie about yourself, you exaggerate, you kind of like put a little bit of sympathy on yourself. Hey, I'm going through a divorce, or I got divorced and I'm lonely. Oh, I had a bad relationship too. Maybe we should get together. And one thing leads to another, and you realize you were, played a little bit. It's not illegal. Creep, but it's not illegal. But the thing about this one is, here's a guy in Pel Primo who, is extremely hurt because his spouse apparently had relations with Joey Ryan. Now, whether it happened a week ago, a year ago, a decade ago, the bottom line is, as angry as this guy is at Joey Ryan, your wife, your spouse, your fiance, whoever it is, she had relations with him also. So you got to be really careful. And in this case, look, do I think this guy, Pel Primo, is going to have to pay anything to Joey Ryan? No. But as I told you was going to happen, Joey Ryan is now suing individual people who have talked shit about him on social media. And, look, I feel bad for this guy, Pel, but his wife, as far as I know, she was not sexually assaulted. This was her decision to do whatever she did with Joey Ryan. I don't think this guy is going to have to pay a dime for Joey Ryan at the same time. But he's got a GoFundMe going. He's got a crowdfund going and this and that. And that's all fine. And if people want to contribute to help him defend the lawsuit against Joey Ryan, absolutely. But the thing is, what if he gets thrown out of court? Where, and you have all this money left over for legal fees from GoFundMe. Where does that money go? Do you give it back to the person? So I'm not sold on straight up, hey, everybody, I really need help with this. And well, guess what? I have E&O insurance. I have E&O insurance not only for my business, but for the corporation that I have behind all this stuff. Everybody complains and this and that, oh, Patreon this and this and that. At the end of the day, when Uncle Sam is knocking on the door and wanting taxes and IRS and audits, they come to me. They don't come to Mish. They don't come to any other podcaster. So I have a lot of responsibilities on me. I am not going to ruin my life because someone, wants this, so this under the table, this and that. My point is, for this guy, Pell, as angry as you are with Joey Ryan, and you want to do that verbal abuse on social media, you better think twice. You better think twice. Because if you get sued over it, now everybody help me. I need help. I don't know, man. Joey Ryan, he had a couple of, I don't want to say, he never had a contract with WWE. I remember once, I think he wrestled Morrison. Wasn't there like some type of beat the clock challenge in ECW? I think Joey Ryan may have faced Morrison or somebody. But the thing is that, in California, and we've talked about this before, you couple of bucks, you could sue anybody you want. So this is monopoly money right now. Honestly, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, most of these lawsuits that Joey Ryan is doing are jokes. It's a joke. And honestly, you got to retain a lawyer. All this is being done is to try to scare people into silence. That's what's being done about this. And the thing in the end is I think it's going to backfire on Joey Ryan. All the money that he claims he lost, this nitwit forgets that we're in the middle of fucking COVID. And a lot of the job opportunities he claimed that he lost or can't get right now because of what's going on, you can't predict what an indie promoter, if they're going to hire you or not. So a lot of it is just threats to silence people, and it's a shame. It's a real shame that our legal system gets clogged with crap like that. And yes, Joey Ryan has every right to have his day in court. But what you're starting to see now with individual people, venting, the funny thing is that, again, I don't think, with the exception of those two cases, which I don't know all the details and all the proof on, but almost everything that Joey Ryan did, to me, was not illegal. He was a creep. The funny thing about it is, while he was being a creep and getting laid, it was okay. But now other people are being creeps towards him, and he hires lawyers. That's how it goes, everybody. That's how it goes. So, with that said, what do you guys want? You want me to do the quarter-hour ratings now for AEW and NXT, or you want me to get into SmackDown? Because like I said, tonight's show is going to be a little bit easier and quicker because SmackDown, very few matches, and some of the segments were really dragged out today. No corny jokes today, everyone. I did corny jokes with Mish on Monday, and wow, all right, 95% of you are all saying, quarter hour, a few people with SmackDown. Look, the quarter hour rating is only going to take me about 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So you know what? Let's do the quarter hour ratings. Then we'll talk about SmackDown. Then we'll do the pay-per-view predictions, and then we'll get out of here. By the way, the running joke for yours truly for many years now is I don't speak Japan. Well, for any of you that do speak Japan and are Kairi Sane fans, Kairi Sane will be on WWE commentary this weekend for Hell in a Cell for Japanese audience, that looking to hear the Japanese audio. So might want to check that out. And I know some of you out there that are tuning in are from Japan or do speak Japanese. because, and I don't think it's simply just used doing Google searches and just typing in phrases, converting into Japanese and sending me emails. I know some of you legitimately do live in Japan, so little treat for some of you out there. So anyway, let's talk about the ratings, because, you know, as we, and for anybody that's newer to the show, you know, never too late to enjoy when we break down the quarter ratings. But if you follow it on a weekly basis, you see a trend for a lot of wrestlers on both brands. You also see a trend that some people, no matter who they face, they pop a rating. Then you see some others that simply have not clicked with the audience. And as well, you know, there was 1 week, couple of weeks ago, that nobody even thought about this, that there was a quarter hour between AEW and NXT that did almost 2 million viewers. Because nobody really does the breakdown other than maybe 2 or 3 people. Nobody ever realizes that. And when you see that there's points where Pro Wrestling on Wednesday night has almost 2 million viewers combined, and then in a matter of 30 minutes, that drops down to 1.5 million. Where did those 500,000 fans go? Whether it's baseball, football, politics, shooting, riots, you know, whatever it is, porn, you know, they've suddenly decided to watch something other than your product. And it's not even like, you know, you can't even blame some of it on going on the computer, whether you're gaming or you're whacking off, you know, because there's many times I've been on, you know, some of these adult websites, you know, to just browse and window shop. I leave my TV going in the background. So if I had the Nielsen box, you know, I don't care what's playing in the background. I'll just enjoy myself on the internet, you know. But people are changing the channel or turning their television off. And that is something very, very noticeable. So now, first, let's talk about AEW's ratings. And if you're enjoying the show, everyone, I'd appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up or a like. If you don't like the show, give it a thumbs down. Just be interactive. And as always, if you're not a subscriber to our channel yet, you know, I appreciate it if you subscribe. As soon as we get to 20,000, we're going to start taking calls. Going to start expanding the channel a little bit. Don't want to rush anything, but we want to hit goals, and we want to do it organically. I don't want to be like these sites out there that pay, because I get solicited emails all the time. Hey, I can help you get to 50,000 views. You see some wrestling channels on YouTube? You ever see the ones that have like 80, 90,000 subscribers, and then you look at their videos and they only get 500 views? You know, you got 90,000 subscribers and only 500 views. Either your content suddenly sucks and nobody wants to tune in, or about 90% of your subscribers are fake. So I prefer, just like Mondays, whether it was DTKC or the shows I do now with Mish, you know, one thing I always took pride in, it's going back to the mid-2000s, is we don't have guests. So I know that every single person who's tuning into a show is tuning in for us, whether they were tuning in for me or Kev Castle or Mish, whoever was on, even a Minority Report. You know, there's some shows out there that they need guests to get viewers. So I love the fact that, you know, when I see decent numbers and I realize nobody is waiting for my special guest to come on. You know, you're tuning in for all of us. And trust me, that is one of the ultimate compliments you could give. So thank you. So now, AEW, this past Wednesday, all the buzz on the segment. Oh, and by the way, you know what? For anybody out there, because I didn't know the song, I never followed 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s music. I didn't know that Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. did that song that MJF and Jericho did. But if you remember Wednesday, I said it had a 50s feel to it, like a musical. And I've gone to musicals in Off-Broadway where suddenly everybody breaks out singing. You know, that's what it is. That's why I didn't overthink it. I still feel, and I want to thank the person who, you know, realized what I was thinking and saying Wednesday and figured out what my point was. But the only thing I would have changed with that whole segment with Jericho and MJF, it should have been a dream sequence. I said it Wednesday. If they would have done a dream sequence, 90% of the negativity that all these goofs have been saying about it would basically have gone away. For the simple reason that, if MJF is, envisioning, the relationship with Jericho, and MJF's mind just wanders, and you go into song and dance, and then all of a sudden, sir, and he wakes up, he was daydreaming, oh, your steak is ready, and they look down and see it, it's bloody, and they get out. Or when they got out, they could have just done walked out like this and go, where it was a dream, but they both, you understand what I'm saying? That's why I know, and I appreciate what some of you said Wednesday, like, this is DT, this is why you need to be on a writing team somewhere, because of things like that. If it would have been a dream sequence, it would have been perfect. People ripping, just shut up. If you don't like the product, don't tune in. Why do you keep talking? Just how dumb do people come up? So anyway, with that said, let's get into the ratings. First off, and look, I totally respect anybody who disliked it. It wasn't a perfect segment, but I got a kick out of it. Stop overthinking wrestling sometimes. When all of us say, hey, our family thinks, they hate wrestling and they think we're ridiculous because we watch this stuff. Why do you tune into that garbage and that? Wrestling is what it is. It's a form of entertainment. The worst part about it, and I mean this 100% sincere, to every person who I criticize about this, I say this with the utmost respect. Maybe some of them should think about this. And this applies to every single one of us tuning in right now. Whether you like me or hate me, this applies to every one of us. You have had relatives over the years, maybe some friends, maybe coworkers, that, will kind of demean you for watching wrestling. Or they rip wrestling, what are you watching that fake crap for, and this, and that. And they put it down. And you take it personal. Even though you're not in the ring, even though you're not working for the company, you take it personal. It upsets you. You have favorite wrestlers. Somebody else says, that person sucks. You take it personal. It offends you. And every single one of us have been there. I told you the stories about my Uncle Joe when I was a kid. Just think about this. For those that don't know, I promise, for the ones that do, 45-second version of it. But for those that don't know, back in the 82, 83, when I just barely became a wrestling fan as a very young kid, there was one story that I've told before. I was in my Aunt Fina's house, and I was just a child. I wasn't even considered a preteen yet. And I remember sitting on the couch, maybe 6 o'clock at night, watching wrestling on Channel 9 in New York. And my Uncle Joe walks by, God rest his soul, miss you. He walks by, and he sees the wrestling on TV. What are you watching that fake crap for? And me as a little kid in 1983, that's not fake, Uncle Joe. It's not fake. I like it. Wait a minute, Fina. Come here. You have a blank tape? You got a tape? Fina, what do you need for? You have a blank tape? Oh, yeah, here's a Quasar tape. And my Uncle Joe puts it in the VCR, records it for about 10, 15 seconds. And meanwhile, I'm just sitting there and I just want to enjoy my wrestling. He records like the Samoans versus Chief Jay Strongbow and Jules Strongbow. And then he plays it back and he's doing it like in 1/16th speed. Now, back then, VCRs sucked. But he did it slow motion, and you're watching it, and that's what you saw. I convinced myself that somehow that little bit of air really did connect. But my uncle was adamant to show me that it was fake. So we've all had relatives like that. As much as you get offended when people did that to you, that's because they don't take wrestling seriously. So if that's the case, you see a segment like Jericho and MJF, or you see another segment, even the Otis stuff tonight, Lauren Otis, and you start ripping it to pieces and making fun of other people that enjoyed it, you're doing the very same thing that we hated. And here's the worst part. In 1983, the cat really wasn't let out of the bag yet, so to speak. You know, I go on my YouTube channel and go search to the beginning of my channel. I got clips that I taped off of TV in 1985, right before WrestleMania 1, or right around WrestleMania 1. And you'll see grown adults being interviewed on Channel 9. I don't think it's fake. You think that? You step in the ring with Mr. T. You tell me if that's fake. Grown adults in droves were convinced still that it was real. So I could understand doing that in the early to mid 80s. But in 2020, where we all know it's sports and entertainment and you're mocking it and ripping it, every fucking aspect of wrestling you see on TV is entertainment. When I used to laugh when people used to say to me, no, Ring of Honor takes it seriously. No. This is not like WWE. And I used to always come back on my hotline with the same answer. If the outcome is predetermined, it's fucking entertainment. It's a different form of wrestling. The suspension of disbelief is that it feels more real. ECW had a different kind of feel of reality. But if the outcome is predetermined and they're not really, intending on killing each other in the ring, that's entertainment. So whether it's Otis in a courtroom, which, some of it was good tonight, some of it was or if it's Jericho and MJF singing, or if it's something else, don't give me, the characters. Everything that you're watching is entertainment. Every part of it. From Orange Cassidy to Jericho to Otis to Roman Reigns to Uso, every part of it is entertainment. What are you, dense? Seriously. So, that was my little impromptu rant. Was not planned tonight, but, the next time you think about absolutely, ripping something that other people enjoyed, think about when people used to do that to you and you didn't like it, So anyway, before I get into the ratings, Puffy89 says those who hate on Le Dina Debonair will praise Law and Otis. Oh no, dude. As I say again, I totally respect anyone out there that didn't like either segment. It's not meant for everyone. I don't like straight up 4-star matches and crazy ass high spots without telling a story in the ring. I call it video game rules. I appreciate the athleticism and it keeps me entertained and I enjoy it. But for me, I'm more about psychology. My point is how I feel about a match may not be how you feel about a match. So I absolutely respect anybody out there who didn't like Le Dina Dijonair or Debonair. I miss Denzel Dijonette, whatever. They had to change his name, bastards. But even the Otis stuff, some people were writing tonight, oh, that was hilarious. And Teddy Long tonight, nice to see him. We saw him not too long ago in that Gallows and Anderson, debacle. And I say that with love. Anybody that doesn't understand why I call it debacle, it's a running joke. But, it was nice to see Bradshaw and Ron Simmons tonight, JBL and Ron Simmons, have a little cameos. Oscar. I don't know what she was doing, but all I know is that this was moving around, and I was like, okay. It had its moments, but there was parts of it I didn't like. Some people loved it. These segments are not meant to get 100%, positive feedback. Puffy89 enjoyed it, as did I with Wednesday. Like I said, if I could only change one thing, I wish it would have been a dream sequence, because that, would have had nothing to do about their characters and the progression and this and that. It would have been all daydreaming. Come on, everyone. You go to a club, you're going out to dinner, you're in a park, you're in a water park, it's summertime, you're a single person, and you see a significant other, whether you're straight, gay, in the middle, bisexual, I don't care. But you see someone across the room, and you have no chance whatsoever. But for a split second, you kind of like, dream, oh my God, if I could get a conversation or I could just catch a rap for a few minutes. Oh man, I'd love to talk to that person. Your mind wanders, It is what it is. I think some people take this stuff way too seriously. My God, just enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it, watch something that you do. Jay Carlos. Oh, no, Jay Carlos. I have to send that back to you. Seriously, you guys, I appreciate that, man. You know that I'm always trying to put back into the shows, and I appreciate that more than you know. And I am his escape, very grateful. Keep doing what I'm doing. Plus, the last Dynamite was his favorite show ever. I tell you, Jay, Carlos, you'd be surprised. And this is not like a gushing thing. And, I try to keep all those negative people and thoughts out of the family over here. But, I'm not pandering and I'm not BSing when I say this, whether everybody who is checking out this show on audio download only, audio only, or watching on video, you all enjoy it. That's what keeps me going. Somebody gave me a really nice compliment on Twitter a couple of days ago. And that's weird because Twitter is usually mostly negative. And, I said, when you really enjoy something that you do, it doesn't always feel like work. Yeah, it is a little bit pressure, because it's not just, hey, turn the camera on, smile, talk, turn the camera off, and it's done. There's so many little variables as well. That's why, I don't think half the people out there understand how much work is involved. That's why Mish, and look, you got other people out there from JD to Jason to Lee Sanders to others that, they do their own thing, okay, Fabe as well. And they, from the beginning of the show to the end, they're handling everything, and it's tough. And that separates the men from the boys, as far as work goes. It's very easy to have other people do everything for you. But, one of the things that I always vowed when I started this in 97 is, number one, be straight up with everybody out there. Be authentic and be honest. I might end up being disliked for it. I might not even be the most popular person out there. But one thing you could never call me is a liar. And some of my biggest haters will even admit that. I could be every word in the book, but they could never call me a liar. And the second thing also is, this is like Christmas. It really is. I mean, when you have great conversation coming up, look, I am going to rip AEW in a few minutes for what happened to Alex Reynolds. I'm not going to lie. I didn't even notice that Wednesday night because there's so many things going on with 4 tag teams at the same time. You're not focused on one person only. And Alex Reynolds is not someone that I'm focused on only on him during a match. I'm looking at Private Party, the Young Bucks, the Bunny, Dark Alley, as I like to call her, the Butcher, the Blade. There's so many different things going on at the same time. That's why so many people did not catch what happened Wednesday night with Alex Reynolds. And, the thing is that, you see something like that, that's terrible. And I tell it straight up, and some people may not like that brutal honesty, but at the end of the day, I always feel being straight up with all of you and giving you 110% is probably the number one commandment in my book. And I will ever be so thankful for, all your generosity. And if I could get your mind off of stuff for a little while, hell, this gets my mind off of stuff for a little while. It sucks. It sucks. I mean, what's going on in this world, the pressures at work, politics, I'm not looking forward to this election. I didn't watch the debate yet. I swear on my mom, I did not watch the debate yet. Even though everybody's saying Trump destroyed Biden, I still didn't watch it yet. People are like, why? I'm like, I'm just trying to stay away from as many grumpy people as possible, you know, and I just want to enjoy, seriously. And I'm not woke, and I'm not nowhere near PC, obviously, but one thing that I'll always be is straight up with you and everybody here. So I really appreciate that. Thank you, Carlos, but I am going to return the favor. Seriously. I don't finagle contest, but I might have to do a contest soon where somehow Carlos ends up being the winner. So I'll come up with something. Maybe I could hook you up with a cameo from someone famous. Not from me, but someone famous. I'm working on it. I'm working on it even for the Wednesday show as well. But thank you again. I appreciate that. Neil Ray. So his dumb self forgot to record SmackDown. How was it? Well, we're going to talk about that in a moment. If I ever get to the NXT AEW ratings, which I will do now. Look, SmackDown, as far as a go-home show, it was good. It set up Bayley and Sasha Banks. Excellent tonight. It set up Roman Reigns and Jey Uso as best as it could be. Because we all, you know, I'd be shocked to shit when I do the contest, the predictions contest on Patreon. I will be shocked if anybody chooses Jey Uso as the winner. And we'll talk about that later. So it's just a matter of what shenanigans are going to go down during that match. I think that's what people are more curious as far as what's going to happen. You know, some of the other stuff, you know, everything with that storyline with Miz, Morrison, and Otis that took well over a month to lead to tonight. And after everything is said and done, it ends up being a match at Hell in the Cell. All right? Yeah. I mean, you look at the storyline overall, I don't blame anybody that looks back and says, all of this storyline for that? I need to just do that a month ago, announce it for a pay-per-view. So, but I thought SmackDown did what it needed to do tonight. And obviously the rating is going to be lower because they were on FS1. Even if they were on Fox, we had the World Series tonight. You got some important news going on in the political world. So SmackDown is going to be a lower number. But for those that did watch to lead into the pay-per-view, it did a good enough job tonight. The Mysterio segment, though, oh, I can't wait to talk about that. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. Oh, my God. Seriously, I think Seth Rollins, not only did he rip Rey Mysterio's eyeball out, he ripped his other balls out. Aaliyah telling Ray and Dominic in the back, if you're not going to help him, then I will. I can't wait to rip that. Oh, my God. Just suspension of disbelief. I'll wait. Maddens Elite. What's up? New subscriber. Welcome aboard, my friend. Did I see the smile on Murphy's face? Yes. Nice to see Daniel Bryan back in the ring tonight. Would love to have seen him on the pay-per-view. But yeah, Murphy's face, I'll be getting into that in a few moments. But, you know, I guess I could tell you all the Elias stuff now. Just think of the storyline, all right? This is Rey Mysterio's little girl. This is Dominic's little sister. And think about this for a minute. And I'm not being overcritical about this. I think that segment tonight deserves ripping a new asshole. You look at the overall whole storyline, Seth Rollins ripping someone's eyeball out. The Singapore cane shots that Dominic Mysterio got where he's bruised all over his body. And whether Rollins and Murphy are killing each other in the ring and they're saying, you know, Aaliyah, this has nothing to do with us. Then number one, why the fuck are all three of you watching TV? Go have a dinner in the catering. Go outside. Go get some air. Just watch some. Why are they watching the monitor? This has nothing to do with us. But I'm watching. This had nothing to do with us. Look, this is storyline. This is not their fault. This is WWE's piss poor writing. But that's not even a part of it that I thought was the most asinine, dumb shit that I have seen in this storyline yet. After the match is over, and Rollins takes out the Singapore cane and starts beating on Murphy, you have Aew begging her father and her brother to please do something. Please do something. No, Aew, this is not our problem. Aew, no. And Aew is like, if you're not going to do anything, then I will. And she walks away. Suddenly, Dominic, how do you say cripple in Espanol? Suddenly, they were invalids. They were vegetables. The minute she started walking away in storyline, suspension and disbelief, I would have grabbed her. Get the fuck back over here. What are you, nuts? They just look at each other. They let her walk to the ring. Just think about how stupid that storyline is. If you're not going to do anything, then I will. And they stand there and fucking watch her leave. How awful is that? So Murphy, she's to the aid of Murphy. And I told you a month and a half ago, Romeo and Juliet storyline, people thought it was nuts. And now Murphy, with a little bit of a sinister look on his face, to Ray and Dominic, while Elias faces face the other. Now in storyline, Elias suddenly is not going to watch TV for the next 7 days. As moronic as Dominic and Ray looked in the Mac, in storyline, 5 minutes after Smack, Elias, did you see the look on his face? Elias, look. Vinegar, look at this. She is going to come out looking badass very, very soon. Everything that I said about this storyline is starting to come true. In the end, will Murphy just use her? I have no idea. I don't know what's in WWE's brain with this. But all I know is that, maybe for 12-year-olds, this might be like a, WB network dumb saga where a girl has crush on guy. And stop with this age bullshit. I'm fed up with that crap with the age bullshit. As I've said before, if a 19-year-old guy started getting hit on by a 32-year-old girl, 90% of you out there that are heterosexual males would say, oh, that's a fantasy. You'd slap that person on the back. Oh, my God, that's so awesome. Get laid. Bring us pictures. But because it's a 19-year-old girl in a storyline with a 32-year-old guy, it's creepy. That's really creepy. Based on what? Based on your morals? Please, shut the fuck up. Neil also says, gotta try Deanston single malt whiskey. I am not a whiskey guy. Oh, people right now are like, no, please. Don Tony, I beg you, please. Not the Johnny Walker story. Please, no. I gotta tell it. You know what, Neil? I will get back to your comment. I will show it again in a couple of minutes. Before I tell the Johnny Walker story. No, Randy. No, Don. No. I love when people call me Don is the first name and Tony is the last name. That's why I know they don't know me at all. Hey, Mr. Tony. Hey, Don, Mr. Tony. So anyway, let's do the ratings, finally. AEW. Interesting, man. AEW. Hour 1, 788. Hour 2, 718. For a composite of 753. My prediction was 811. I got to start trimming back on AEW. I'm seeing a habit with yours truly that I keep overshooting their ratings between 40 and 60,000 viewers. As much as I think AEW is a more enjoyable product overall than NXT right now, for me, I got to stop thinking that there's bigger AEW fan base. You know, right now you got the core audience and some people, but you don't see, you know, NXT fans in droves. I'm going to watch AEW tonight instead of NXT. You don't see that happening, even though we're in the middle of COVID. Some haters are not going to like what I'm going to say next. NXT. Some of you know exactly what I'm going to do. NXT, hour 1, 7:08. I told you after that opening match with Kushida, Velveteen Dream, and Tommaso Ciampa, which was fire, that I thought everything after that was just downhill. Oh my God, wait till I get into the quarter-hour ratings. It tells the story. But check this out. NXT, hour 1, 7:08. Hour 2, 5:80. What was my prediction on Wednesday? I'm not playing the clip tonight to get anybody mad, but my prediction Wednesday was 644. This week's rating, 644. I don't think that should be celebratory. Yes, it's just slightly down from the week before, but this week told a story that just fans were not feeling after that opening match. So let's get back to AEW. So hour 1, 788, hour 2, 718 for a composite of 753. So remember, the average was 753. Remember 753 as I get into these quarter hours. Opening match, Wardlow versus Jungle Boy, did 737. Remember on Wednesday when I said that I thought NXT was actually going to open up better ratings numbers than AEW? Because I just thought the three-way was much more fire than Wardlow versus Jungle Boy. Well, that quarter opening up AEW did 737. NXT's did 765. So right at the beginning, NXT is beating AEW in the ratings, all right? So we open up with 737, Wardlow versus Jungle Boy. The next quarter, which was the Jon Moxley promo, Sonny Kiss versus Kenny Omega, which only lasted about a minute. And then you had the interviews with Orange Cassidy and Cody. The rating slightly increased to 761. Want to know why Eddie Kingston keeps being featured in a big light? If you pay attention to the quarter ratings with Eddie Kingston, week after week after week, he's actually got better numbers than a lot of others. Eddie Kingston's interview, and then we had the beginning of Penta versus Rey Fenix. That jumped up to 832. So what's happening now on the NXT side is that fans, little by little, are changing the channel from NXT, and they're tuning in to AEW. So the remainder of the match between Rey Fenix and Penta, and by the way, as we all feared on Wednesday, Rey Fenix is out of his match against Kenny Omega this Wednesday. Because of the injury that took place Wednesday, Pentagon Jr. will be facing Kenny Omega. They put a little video online of basically Eddie Kingston telling Rey Fenix, look, you got to do it for the family. He's injured, this and that. So now it will be Penta versus Kenny Omega. So the end of their match, the segment featured Miro and Kip Sabian, and then the promos by Colt Cabana, Alex Reynolds, and Jonathan Silver, that went down slightly to 822. So right now, they're maintaining their audience pretty decent. Okay, here's where you run into problems. Remember I have said repeatedly that for some reason, Adam Hangman Page's matches are not keeping viewers, that his ratings are not impressive at all. His match against Colt Cabana, and sure, you may blame some of this on his opponent. Hey, his opponent, Colt Cabana, is not very strong as far as TV goes. You're into someone, you don't care who their opponent is. You're tuning in to see that person. I could name 50 wrestlers that if they're in a match, I'll stop and watch it. Even baseball. How many of you out there that are baseball fans, you had a favorite player, a hitter, growing up, and when that person was at bat, it didn't matter who was pitching. You stopped and watched that person's at bat. Didn't matter who it was. It's always happened with me. So Adam Hangman Page versus Colt Cabana, the rating dropped from 822 all the way down to 749. Now, here's where it's interesting. Now we get into the MJF Chris Jericho segment. That quarter hour featured the dinner debonair. It also featured the segment with Taz, Brian Cage, and Ricky Starks. The overall quarter hour went. Now remember, Hangman Page versus Colt Cabana dropped all the way down to 749. That quarter hour with MJF and Jericho, and then the whole thing with Taz, and that quarter hour dropped all the way down to 676. So in less than 30 minutes, they lost over 150,000 viewers. Now, I know what some of you are going to say, so let me finish. Jericho himself online has touted tonight that his dinner debonair almost generated 800,000 viewers. So you're saying to me, DT, wait a minute. If the quarter hour was 676 and Jericho saying they almost got 800,000 for the dinner, how could that be? That just gives you an idea how many fans tuned away during the Taz, Ricky Starks, Brian Cage segment. Jericho and MJF's dinner did 775,000 viewers and took up almost the whole quarter. They still ended up with 676. Not impressive. I shouldn't say the whole dinner thing, because when they were sitting at the table, the numbers were not that much better. As the segment went along and they started singing and the dancing and everything else, the numbers. I think what was happening, in my opinion, everyone, is that people online were starting to tweet, because this segment was not just 2 minutes. It went on for a while. So you had people on social media like, what am I seeing here? I can't believe what I'm seeing. This is unbelievable. This is funny. This sucks. This is crazy. What are they doing? All different emotions. So I think people who are on social media, while these shows are going on, they're basically now seeing people tweet like, what the fuck am I watching on AEW? And compliment ended, and they started changing the channel. And the reason why I say that also is because, you see the overall number. How do you go with an overall of under 700,000, but that segment did almost 800,000? That just shows you what fans were doing. They were all changing the channel to see what they were watching. Now, just to think about this, Jericho and MJF ended the quarter at 775,000 viewers. Britt Baker, Kylan King. Remember the controversy a week or two ago when Britt Baker told fans, look, if you want to see more women's wrestling in AEW, don't change the channel? Britt Baker probably regrets opening up her mouth because her quarter hour only scored 686. Now, you may say, well, that's 10,000 more viewers than the previous quarter I just talked about. Yeah, but Jericho and MJF were slightly under 800,000. Then it dipped all the way down to 686. So, and in the final quarter, which was the 4 tag team match, I think we could call this a little bit of a disappointment. That main event for AEW did 762,000 viewers. Better than the previous quarter, but probably a little bit of a disappointing number, especially when you realize Young Bucks were involved and, this whole stipulation for a number one contender. So that was your quarter hour breakdown for AEW. Now we get to NXT. And NXT, it just not good. And I'm not favoring AEW right now. I'm just telling you like it is. So just to summarize AEW, when you see me do this is how it went down for AEW. Quarter one, 7:30. We'll do this 7:30. The average was 7:53. So we'll start at, this is 7:53. I always do it in line with the camera. So quarter one, 7:37. Quarter two, 7:61. Quarter three, 8:32. Quarter four, 8:22. Quarter five, 7:49. Quarter six, 676. Quarter seven, 686. Quarter eight, 762. So the main event was right around the average number. Not that impressive. So now NXT. As I said, NXT opened up with a better rating than AEW. Kushida, Ciampa, and Velveteen Dream opened up with 765,000 viewers. And it's all downhill after that. The end of their match, the promo with the Undisputed Era and Adam Cole on that little screen, and the Rhea Ripley video and Ember Moon versus Jessie Camilla, that dropped slightly from 765 to 739. Bronson Reed versus Austin Theories, 2 matches. That rating dropped from 739 to 714. The 6-man tag, remember Wednesday I said, all athletic. Jake Atlas, loved his work towards the end, but I was not connected with this match. That match lost 100,000 viewers. That match dropped all the way down to 617. The ending of that match, the segment with Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae in the house with the wheel, and then the match with Drake Maverick and Killian Dane versus Everrise, they only increased by 2,000 viewers. So they're all the way down to 619. Now remember, the average was 644. So they're now not even in hour 2 yet, and they're below the average, just to show you how bad hour 2 was for NXT. The opening of hour number 2, which was the Drake Maverick, Killian Dane, Everrise, I said 619. Then you had quarter 6, which was William Regal announcing the new main event because the Undisputed Era were not going to be in that match. Xia Li versus Casey Catanzaro. And then the promo with Cameron Grimes with Dexter Lumis lingering in the back. That rating dropped down to 607. So not big drops, but still, ever since the first match, down, 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 down. Next to last quarter, Timothy Thatcher and his Thatch Can, the wrestling, and then the Damian Priest interview, dropped all the way down to 538,000 viewers. And the main event, which was Breezango versus Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, that only increased to 555. So that just shows you how bad NXT was. And again, nothing against Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. Probably need someone like a Pat McAfee to get a little bit of a connection with the fans, because Burch and Lorcan have had some of the most terrible numbers whenever they're out in NXT. Timothy Thatcher, how many times have I said it over the last couple of months? Uber talented, definitely going to be a big-time star in the future, not connecting with wrestling fans. Lost 70,000 viewers when he did his segment. Even though he was doing the stuff with Anthony Green, still fans tuning it off. And when you realize, and this is probably the most important thing I could say tonight, when you realize that when you compare it against AEW's numbers, you lose 100,000 viewers. And then let me make this point, because it's probably the most important point I can make tonight. They lost 100,000 viewers between quarter 3 and quarter 4. The 6-man tag on NXT lost 100,000 viewers. Now, you may say to me, okay, well, maybe those viewers decided to tune into AEW. Quarter 3 to quarter 4 in NXT went down 100,000. You know the change was with quarter 3 to quarter 4 in AEW? You think those 100,000 viewers decided to watch AEW? AEW's rating from quarter 3 to quarter 4 went down 10,000 viewers. So between both shows, you had 110,000 viewers decide they weren't watching wrestling. You don't see that trend that I always tell you about. Even the stuff with MJF and Chris Jericho, that was quarter 6. Quarter 6, that dinner segment did 120,000 viewers more than the overall quarter. Actually did much more than that, because it ended up averaging 676. You look at that same quarter in NXT only lost 10,000 viewers. So that buzz from the net got people to tune into AEW just for the dinner segment and then tuned out. Because as soon as that dinner segment was over, there was no ratings change. In fact, it went down because Jericho and MJF was almost at 800,000. Britt Baker was 686. So You're not seeing all these NXT fans changing the channel and going to AEW. That's not happening. So just to summarize NXT, 644 was the average. So that's 644. Ready? Quarter 1, 765. Quarter 2, 739. Quarter 3, 714. Quarter 4, 617. Quarter 5, 619. Quarter 6, 607. Quarter 7, 538. Quarter 8, 555. They never recaptured the viewers from the opening quarter. That says a lot. That says a lot about the product right now. And, you know, again, this has got to be concerning for WWE especially because, you know, as much as we like that Ember Moon is getting a fresh restart and she's back in NXT where she had her most success, if you've been following Ember Moon on NXT the last 3 weeks, she ain't popping ratings either. There's people in droves wanting to see Ember Moon. So I don't know what that says, but you remember the formula that we always complain about NXT every week. They almost do the exact same formula every week. And yes, maybe the matches are different and some of the opponents are different, but when you see that same formula, opening match, really long, very good, most times ending in a clusterfuck finish, then you have one or two matches, they're only a minute long, tons of backstage segments and vignettes. Then you do another very long match, and then you're back to another one or two matches that are extremely short, lots more vignettes, and then the main event goes long. That's NXT every week. Every week. So there you go. There you go. So now, let's talk about SmackDown. You know what? Let me just say this. Rey Fenix, not serious injury, but he's out of the match against Kenny Omega this Wednesday. Alex Reynolds, for those that still aren't aware of this, Alex Reynolds got knocked out cold during the main event on AEW. I watched it back, and I got to be totally honest with you. Let me be honest. I ain't losing sleep over it. I don't want to see anybody hurt, but, you know, I'm not going to light a candle for Alex Reynolds. Thank God he's okay. So when I say I was sick to my stomach, he's okay. That's the bottom line. But when I say I'm sick to my stomach, it's not like I'm the world's biggest Alex Reynolds fan. I mean, to be honest with you, a lot of the members of the Dark Order I'm not enjoying that much. Although, you know, Alex Reynolds is one of the, you know, the brighter spots of the Dark Order. Okay? So anyway, long story short, during the match, if you go watch the segment back, he is doing some in-ring work with Private Party. Private Party has him set up in the middle of the ring, and they both do a move, high-flying move off the top rope, both members of Private Party landing on Alex Reynolds. Kind of reminiscent of the Hardy Boys a little bit. It's almost like a splash and a leg drop. Well, anyway, one of the members of Private Party's ass went right into the head of Alex Reynolds. Alex Reynolds was knocked out cold. And he's literally laid out in the ring for, 15 seconds. And then his tag partner just literally drags him into the corner. He's out, totally out, unconscious. And he actually has to lift Alex Reynolds' hand so he could tag him. So, all right, he pulls him in the corner. Now you think, okay, something is wrong. Get him out of the ring. Put the focus on everybody else. He's laid out in the corner, and nobody is tending to him. He starts regaining some consciousness, and then I think it might have been Nick Jackson went into the ring and started doing a little bit of work against Dark Order. He throws Alex Reynolds. Actually, the first time, I think Nick Jackson sensed something was up because he totally missed him and then connected on his partner. But then he throws Alex Reynolds in a corner, and he's in a daze. And then he tries to do like a bulldog on Alex Reynolds, and you see he's out of it. After all of this, which is about 2 to 3 minutes long, finally, Doc Samson gets Alex Reynolds out of that match. Not totally unacceptable on AEW's part. Now, Alex Reynolds tonight issued a statement. Very important. He says, and I quote, "Hey guys, just wanted to thank you for all of the concerns for my health. It means the world to me. I truly believe the ref and our doctor handled the situation great on Wednesday's show. Injuries happen in wrestling, but I feel completely safe with our team here. Thanks again, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon." I am sincerely happy that he's going to be okay. But this is what I have to say about that segment. That, again, you're not going to hear anybody say this on other shows for obvious reasons. What the fuck did you expect Alex Reynolds to say? I don't think referee Rick Knox handled it the right way. Doc Samson, you got to do a little bit. What did people expect Alex Reynolds to say? Alex Reynolds does not get the play that he might deserve on Dynamite, or maybe a little more on Dark Order. This guy, with all due respect, is not all the way on the food chain. This guy's not going to say anything that is going to put any controversy. Just imagine if Alex Reynolds just even put a little responsibility on the ref or the doctor. It would, every AEW hating goof out there would have ejaculated tonight. They would have all orgasmed. You would have had all these comments like BRB vaping. They would have all been outside smoking cigarettes. They would have all blown their loads in orgasm that somebody finally revealed the truth. What the fuck did you expect Alex Reynolds to say? He is being a company guy. He is okay under the circumstances. Of course, he is going to say, I feel totally sad. Can you imagine if he said anything otherwise? Boom. He'll be replaced by Dark Order member 9. We'll get a new Dark Order member, number 14. So that statement, since he's going to be fine, I'm happy for him. But that statement, to me, you interpret it on simple, street smart, English. I'm not going to say shit that's going to fuck my position in my job. In fact, I'm going to put over my fucking employer so maybe I get a little bit of a better opportunity next time. I'm going to take this chicken shit and turn it into chicken salad. That's what Alex Reynolds did. And honestly, seriously, I don't blame Alex Reynolds one bit. When I had that flare-up with Bully Ray many years ago when he was still in TNA, he wanted me to go to Florida and fucking knock my ass out in the middle of the ring and, say it to my face. Like, I told him privately, I'm like, that's when the whole reveal of Tito Ortiz, oh my God, Tito Ortiz, he's an impact. And the fans didn't give a shit. And I said to him privately, I'm like, look, I don't expect you to say anything negative about your employer. He's not stupid. No, that's all dead and buried, and there's no issues with Bully Ray whatsoever. Bully Ray was being a company guy. He did everything right. Alex Reynolds did everything right as far as his stance in AEW. But people are taking that statement. See, even Alex Reynolds doesn't think that the ref or the doctor, in my honest opinion, and I tell you straight up, I don't care if it pisses people off. I tell you my honest opinion. I have complained about that referee, Rick Knox, before. I don't care what he did in Lucha Underground. I don't care what he did with other federations. You go back and watch what happened to Alex Reynolds. And while he's laid out, focus only on referee Rick Knox. Every spot that's being hit. Not looking at Alex Reynolds once. Doesn't even go up to Alex Reynolds. You ever see when two people are laid out in the ring, and the referee will go up to the one person, then he'll go up to the other person, and basically the referee's the one basically relaying the message from one to the other. You don't see Rick Knox once go to Alex Reynolds and say, "You okay? Are you okay? You okay?" And if he gets no response, you get him out of the ring. Rick Knox, I don't like him as a referee. Moments like what you saw Wednesday is a reason why somebody like Rick Knox really needs to get a refresher course. You want to give, sensitivity training to Sammy Guevara for something that he said 5 years ago, which is totally unacceptable, and I agree. Well, you know what? This guy needs some classes, all right? This motherfucker didn't pay attention to Alex. Go back and look. Every time somebody hit his high spot, like a bobblehead, not just the head moves. This guy, I keep thinking about Taz. We don't run a sloppy shop here. Unacceptable. And Doc Samson, what was there, Mr. Softy truck outside? Were they barbecuing? Was this guy tending to someone in the crowd? Did somebody have a cough and he was checking their COVID? Where the fuck was this guy for the first 2 minutes? There should have been somebody at ringside immediately. You get knocked out. You look, most times in other matches, somebody hits a big spot on someone else. Almost immediately, the opponent kind of puts his head on the other person. And you know what they're doing. You okay? And you might see like grab, a touch, a pull, something like that. Private Party knocks the guy out, and that's because of their inexperience. So I kind of give them a pass. But this guy gets knocked out. Nobody gets in his ear and checks to see if this guy's just selling or if he's legitimately knocked out. And the minute he gets dragged to the corner and realizes that this guy's knocked out, he's not even lifting his hand. That motherfucker's got to go right up to Rick Knox and say, something's wrong here. Nothing. That segment is disgusting. That shouldn't even happen on an indie wrestling show. And I have been on indie wrestling shows where people got hurt. I was on an indie wrestling show. Somebody died during a match. Somebody got rushed to the hospital and died. I'm not going to get into it here. A lot of you know that story already. All right. Even under those circumstances, immediately there was a doctor tending to that person. Within 10 seconds, you watch this for 2-3 minutes, and the fucking referee doesn't look at him once. There is no excuse for that. If he would have went up to him once, and you see him whispering it or something, and he thinks that he's just selling, okay, I get that. Rick Knox thought he was selling. Motherfucker didn't even go up to the guy. You can't, there is no alternate ending. It's not like you buy a DVD and there's a bonus feature where there's an alternate ending at the end and there's something different. There is no alternate ending. This guy needs some classes. This is unacceptable. Somebody is going to get seriously hurt. And this Doc Samson, I brought it up with the Matt Hardy Guevara thing. Tony Khan, God bless him. I don't blame him. He tried to, take control of the situation that he ordered the match to stop. Remember the whole thing with Matt and Guevara? Everybody gave him a pass. Well, Tony, who restarted the match? Have you ever seen somebody say, look, I started and nobody owned up to it. Oh, no, he's all right. He didn't get a concussion. Rebbe seems to disagree. Not acceptable. Not acceptable. Accidents do happen. Alex Reynolds is right. Injuries do happen. But when this motherfucker referee, nothing personal against him, he's not a bad referee. But when someone gets knocked the fuck out and you're the person in the ring reffing this whole match, maybe you shouldn't do multiple tag team matches. Maybe you're better suited for one-on-one or a midgets match, comedy match. Because obviously 4 tag teams is too much for you, because while this guy's unconscious in the ring, you're doing this. Go back and watch it. Go back and watch it. That guy has no business. No business. Give me 90-year-old Earl Hebner in a wheelchair that can't even do the windmill no more. You know, remember when he used to do the windmill? 1, 2. You know, give me an absolute arthritic Earl Hebner where he goes 1, 2. Ow! No excuse for what happened on Wednesday. So for all you people out there, he gushes about AEW. No. I tell you my honest feelings on it. So, all right. So we get that out of the way. All right. So now let's talk about SmackDown for a few minutes. Do predictions. It's 11:30 over here. We're about 90 minutes in. We will be done within 30. Guaranteed. Be an early night for a change. Anyway. We had the Kevin Owens show open up today. And as you will see, me looking straight at you, I don't really need notes for tonight. Because pretty much tonight's episode of SmackDown did its job, set up the pay-per-view. There was a little bit of filler here and there, but, you know, it was a very simple episode of SmackDown. Kevin Owens opens up. He's got his first Kevin Owens show on SmackDown, even though, if I remember correctly, wasn't he there to call out like The Fiend or something not too long ago, or Bray Wyatt, or but this is officially a SmackDown wrestler. And he's talking about various wrestlers. He brings out Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is excited. Kevin Owens points out that Daniel Bryan had mentioned him when Daniel Bryan was talking about wrestlers that SmackDown has gotten. And Daniel Bryan is giving suggestions, forced suggestions, forced planning of the seats. I think the Intercontinental Championship should be defended every week on SmackDown. Well, Daniel Bryan's not a GM anymore. For some reason, Daniel Bryan, and they were teasing a little bit of friction with Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens at first. And meanwhile, Kevin Owens is not the IC champion. Daniel Bryan has this genius of an idea that the IC title should be defended every week. Why would Kevin Owens give a drizzling shit about that during this interview segment if he's not the IC champion? But you could see this is the plant the seed that Sami Zayn will not be happy at Daniel Bryan. Easy. So then they start talking about tag team championships. All right. Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens is a tag team? Okay. A lot of people were complaining about the tag team division, especially on SmackDown. If they become a regular tag team, hey, I could kind of buy into this a little bit. Well, they get interrupted by Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. You know, they just went at it with the Street Profits. They went at it the week before with the New Day. So they come out, they have words with Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens. And by the way, Kevin Owens and Daniel Bryan were fine in these segments. But you could see what the bullet points were. The bullet points were simple. Before anybody complains any further, let's show the SmackDown audience that we do have at least 4 great tag teams that are on our roster. Yes, Owens and Bryan are makeshift, but I don't mind that makeshift tag team. So that was bullet point number 1. Bullet point number 2 was to tease a feud between Sami Zayn and Daniel Bryan, or at least one match. Since they're not ready to pull the trigger yet on Otis versus Sami Zayn, we'll get to that later. So Roode and Ziggler come out talking smack a little bit. Then this leads to Nakamura and Cesaro. They come out. Don't forget about us talking smack a little bit. Street Profits come out. They cut their usual stick. Next thing you know, we get an 8-man tag. And we get the Street Profits, Kevin Owens and Daniel Bryan. They defeat Cesaro, Nakamura, and Ziggler and Roode. Cesaro gets pinned. He eats both finishers from Street Profits. You know, I have expressed my anger for how they use Cesaro and Nakamura as the tag champs, similar to what they did with Breezango, but it is what it is. Ken, I'll get into your comment in a moment. I won't forget about you, my friend. So we get the baby faces win the match. Okay, cool. Fine. No problem. They're in the back after celebrating. Kevin Owens with the headband, drinking the bottled water. Daniel Bryan, I love SmackDown. This is why I'm here. Blah, 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 blah. Where the fuck have you been? Yes, they have a newborn. I totally understand. No problems. And they're celebrating a little bit. I thought maybe Daniel, there's one weird point where Daniel Bryan just wanted a fist bump with the Street Profits, and they're looking at him like, I'm being serious for a minute. Is that like a wrong thing to do? Hey, fist pump. And then they realize, like, it's weird how WWE tries to make big deals about bullshit between the fist pump and then Rollins and Murphy throughout the match. I'm the Messiah. I'm the Messiah. I'm the Messiah. Jerk off, Messiah. Jerk off, Messiah. Like, what are you, fucking 10? I'm the king. It's like Corbin. I'm the king. I'm the Messiah. I'm the tribal chief. Everybody, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this. And it's not their fault, it's a storyline. But I thought maybe we see a little dissension tease between the Street Profits, Kevin Owens, and Daniel Bryan. If they're not going to go Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn, maybe they do Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens versus Street Profits. It's a little bit different. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know where they're going with it. But it ate up enough time. So, next, we get the opening segment of Law and Otis. Miz and Morrison are represented by some female attorney. Otis is there by himself. We have Ron Simmons. Farouk is the bailiff. JBL is the judge. And, they're going through a couple of things. Miz's lawyer keeps cutting them off. Miz and Morrison ultimately fire the lawyer. Cheesy. Very cheesy. And they're basically giving their arguments to Judge Bradshaw why Miz should have the briefcase, and Otis is explaining why he should have the briefcase. And they bringing out witnesses. We get Tucker as a witness. Oscar, it was obviously comedy father. We got a segment from Teddy Long, which was nice to see him. The segment, it was not drawn out too much. It was funny because they were trying to spoof Law and Order, obviously. But then when they started getting into like the music and everything else, it was the People's Court. It was like they used the Law and Order graphic to spoof that, but everything else was People's Court. So, somebody there was like, hey, instead of Law and Order, Law and Otis. Oh, yeah. But the rest of it was, they were using like, somebody makes a talking point. Dun, 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 dun. Like, yeah, remember Judge Wapner? That guy, I actually like Judge Wapner. I don't know, all of you out there, Judge Wapner or Judge Judy. Actually, I take that back because most of you out there are going to be like, who? Judge who? Wap who? Was he Chinese? Was he Italian? Wapner? Wapner? Judge Wapner might be a little bit before some people's time. So, all right, yeah, you know what? Judge Mills Lane or Judge Judy? Judge Judy. Or Mills Lane. I like Judge Mills Lane. I thought Mills Lane was actually pretty funny as a judge. Who was the other guy that did it? I'm trying to remember, I can't get too specific here because then some people think like, oh, that's not the right way. Judge Joe Brown, thank you. Now people like, you motherfucker, I knew where you were going with that. I'll tell you the truth. I liked Judge Joe Brown maybe more than any of the others. Judge Wapner was funny and everything to a certain extent. I was supposed to be on Judge Judy once, right? Do you all know that story? If you don't know the story, I'll tell it to you if you want to know. That's why every time I always saw a Judge Judy case, I never gave a shit about it. I didn't care who was in. Remember you had ones with like Bill Alfonso and I think Missy Hyde and others. Some of you, all right, most of you don't know the story. All right, this will be quick. We got a few minutes time. Because we already covered almost half of SmackDown, believe it or not. Here's a quick story. I've been doing insurance since 1998, and I still haven't told the Johnny Walker story. I've been doing insurance since 1998. I used to do a lot of taxi guys, Jamaican bus lines. You know, there was a lot of livery guys, and there was this Jamaican, you know, big livery company, and they all got insurance through me. So anyway, long story short, there was this one driver that lied on his application. And what happened was he gave me a down payment for insurance, and it ended up that he lied where he used the vehicles and everything. They jacked up his price. It ended up the deposit wasn't enough, and they insisted on like another, if he gave me like, I don't know, like $5,000, they insisted on like another 10. So he canceled the insurance within a month. They kept almost all his money because he lied on his application, and the month that he had the insurance, pretty much that's what it cost. So he demanded a refund, and he wasn't entitled to a refund. And the next thing you know, the guy threatens to take me to court. And I got pissed off because, like, the head guy of this whole livery company, I got in touch with him. I'm like, you know, your guy lied on his application. You know, I mean, as much as I feel bad for the guy lied where he's using the vehicles. Most of them would lie and say they use it in Yonkers or Westchester or Queens, but they're actually using it in Brooklyn, which is the highest in New York. So he wasn't entitled to any money back. So he takes me to small claims court for $1,500. Next thing I know, I get a letter in the mail from Judge Judy, and I know I got it stored away somewhere. I got to find it, and I will show it to you all soon. And you know me. And I tell you I got proof. I always furnish it. I get a letter in the mail from Judge Judy, and I realize what they do. They get the docket of all the upcoming cases in small claims, and they send a letter saying that we would like for you to be on an episode of Judge Judy. And what they said to me, and a lot of you don't even know this, but what they said to me is that regardless of the outcome of the case, they pay for it. Meaning that if I lost, Judge Judy would pay the guy the money that he was looking for. So for about 2 seconds, it was tempting because I'm like, okay, I can't lose any money then. And then, you know, another second, I was like, hey, I'll be on TV. Then I realized it would be the biggest mistake of my life. Because if I went on Judge Judy and I got this Jamaican guy, you know, yeah, man, this guy, he took money from me and my family and this and that, and yeah, man, he did this and that, and then it ends up that I lose. Even though I don't have to pay any money out of my pocket. I just envisioned every livery driver in this company who got screwed in some way, shape, or form, they're all going to try to take me to court. Look, this guy screwed, he screwed this guy over, let's take him to court. I would have been showered with lawsuits, even though I didn't do anything wrong. I told Judge Judy's office, I said, no, I'm not interested. And they pushed it. They must have saw either White and Black, Howard Beach in Brooklyn, or they just saw an interesting case and they pushed it. They're like, look, if you lose, we'll pay it. I'm like, I'm not fucking doing it. So it ended up, the guy dropped the small claims court anyway because he realized I didn't do anything wrong. So I could have exposed myself to some big thing and I didn't do anything wrong. So when you see a lot of these judge cases on TV, most of the times when people agree to go on, in almost many of the circumstances under a certain amount of money, they pay for it. So when you see these people like, I shouldn't have to pay $1,000. I'm devastated that I lost it. They're not paying nothing out of their pocket. I don't know where we're going to get the money from. Yes, you do, you liar. Anyway. Thunder or blunder, I don't know about this Ethan Page, Joey Janela trading card dispute. I have no idea what that's all about. I promise you, though, that I will look it up, and I will talk about it on Monday with Mish. So is it a good story? Is it don't super chat this, but is it something like worth like getting into? It sounds like an interesting story. So I tell you, no, I'm not going to lie, Eddie. I, at the time, thought it'd be pretty cool. I'd be on TV, Judge Judy. Then, I took a step back. I'm like, wait a minute, Could you just imagine this being on TV? I ain't getting no sympathy. And then if I lose, then everybody else could try to sue me also. And I don't think Judge Judy was going to do a best of DT in court. I wouldn't have had Judge Judy paying for all my other I would have been screwed. Oh, Thunder or Blunder says, yes, it is. So, Thunder, you have my word. On Monday with Mish, I will get into the Ethan Page, Joey Janela trading card to see. Yeah, more and more I'm thinking about it. That's going to be interesting. Because I have no idea what he's talking about. I don't want to know now. I want to do some research. But my immediate instinct of what Thunder or Blunder just wrote was, why did they even take this to the net? I mean, does anybody anymore settle their things privately? Everybody's got to publicly tweet every little goddamn thing. They got to settle their disputes by always making it public. So I'm gonna look into that. Absolutely, I'll get into that. Ken says he'd rather see referee Bronco Lubick come back from the dead. Remember how he was so late? Yes, yeah. Bronco Lubick was a character. I don't know if he was lazy or if he was just, trying to. A lot of referees, look, I always talked about that referee that died last year, that he was the referee when Hulk Hogan won the championship. Yeah, I think so. When he beat the Iron Sheik, I think he was the one. No, I don't think he was the one. But I'll tell you this one. If you remember the first Saturday night's main event, and I think it was Junkyard Dog when he brought his mother in the ring. It was Mother's Day. Remember that one? If you look at the referee, the Junkyard Dog, anybody remember Junkyard Dog's opponent? Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank right now. He would always, he was a jobber, but he would always yell in his mouth, not Killer Khan, but someone in the chat definitely knows who I'm talking about. Jackal Lots. No, but someone will remember. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Someone will Google it right now. Just think Junkyard Dog, not Harley Race. Was Harley Race a jobber? It was Junkyard Dog versus, the Duke of Dorchester. Was he the Duke of Dorchester? I think he was the Duke of Dorchester. Oh my God, I'm going to end up remembering this by myself. Yeah, thank you, Lion. Pete Doherty. Go on YouTube, search Junkyard Dog, Pete Doherty, Saturday night's main event. You see that referee, that's who I'm talking about. That referee died very, very recently. Paid tribute to him last year. That referee, when he first came into the WWF in 82, around that time, what he would do in Madison Square Garden is when he would go to do the count in a match, he would jump in the air, literally leap in the air, and land and do 1, 2. He did a lot of athletic stuff, and people popped. And Vince McMahon, I think Senior, it might have even been 81, but Vince McMahon Senior, pulled him aside. Yeah, it's got to be around 81 because Vince Senior was still around. And Vince Senior pulled him inside and said, cut that shit out. And after that, he didn't do that anymore. There's actually, if you Google it, you'll see, I think the New York Times or some local newspaper here in New York actually talked about that story too. But, that referee, some referees like Bronco Lubick and others, even Al Hebner with the windmill thing, that was his trademark after. So every referee at some point is going to have, I shouldn't say every referee, but referees who become a little bit more than just a referee, there'll be some signature, thing about themselves that separate them from others. But yeah. But and thank you very much, Eric Sanchez. First time tuning in live. As you can see, we have a great family here, and much love to everybody. Look, whether you download, archive, live, I appreciate everybody. But for those that are live, it's almost midnight here in New York. Lord knows what time it is for you, some of you overseas. So the fact that you're live enjoying tonight with yours truly, I appreciate it very much. I thank you very much for that, Eric. And Yeah, I really appreciate it. So let's get back to SmackDown a little bit. So they're doing, People's Court, Law and Order, kind of spoofing everything. Otis pointed out that he should have the briefcase because he won Money in the Bank. And Morrison was a witness talking about how Otis was abusing him. Tucker, angry at Miz and this, that. So that's pretty much what the case was. Had a lot of comedy segments in it. Nowhere near the comedic level of the trial of Eric Bischoff. Was the trial of Eric Bischoff when Maria came out and she started talking like she was a genius? There were moments in that one. Tajiri, was that it? Yeah, Boogeyman. Yeah, that one, was pretty. That's why, like I say, people out there, if you don't like it, okay, I respect it. For the people making fun of others for liking it, there's been so many segments like these over the years. But there were moments tonight that were fun with that. There was some that was very, very hokey, but that was pretty much how they were setting it up. They did 3 segments. At the end, JBL was going to render his decision. We'll get to his decision in a moment. Now we get into the filler, and you realize there wasn't much left with SmackDown. Bianca Belair beats Zelina Vega. Pretty much a squash. Bianca Belair, I liked her outfit. She had the SmackDown logo. She almost looked like a backdrop. When people are like at a Hollywood premiere and you see all the logo like 100 times in the background when they're taking pictures, she looked like that. She looked like a backdrop with all the SmackDown logos all over her. Blue lipstick, blue makeup. Did great. But as I was watching this match, I couldn't help but to think about what just happened with Zelina Vega, Mickie James, and Asuka. Zelina Vega got to showcase that she can actually go a little bit. Maybe not on the level of those other two. And she's right back to squashed. So I wasn't thrilled about that. But, Bianca Belair, obviously, they want to start pushing her. We got Lars Sullivan destroying Shorty G. I got a kick out of social media at this time because right before the match, Kayla Braxton is interviewing Shorty G at ringside. Reminded me of James Ellsworth right before he had his match with Braun Strowman. Shorty G talking about how he wasn't drafted to Raw, wasn't drafted to SmackDown. He's basically, frustrated, but he wanted to call out the big man, Lars, to a match. Lars destroys Shorty G. Kayla Braxton, after the match is over, tries to interview Shorty G again. What are you going to do next? How do you feel? It's like, and it's funny because I'm not going to talk about it tonight, but I did something like that on the indie circuit once. I tried to do a spoof of when you win the Super Bowl. What are you going to do next? I'm going to Disney World. I did the same thing after Lowlife Louie got his ass kicked. And I went on the microphone and I said, you just got your ass kicked and you just humiliate yourself in front of your soon-to-be wife, mother of your child, and all the people in the audience. What are you going to do next? Like trying to spoof Disney World. And that's when he whacked me over the head with a chair and broke my watch and everybody was laughing at ring. So I got footage of that too. I don't usually put my stuff online because, it's not about me. But it was funny because Kayla Braxton's interviewing after he can't breathe, and he quits. Austin Theory on NXT, Shorty G tonight. So right away, social media, having a field day with this, let it play out. People just, I just can't picture people just racing on the computer. Oh my God, I can't wait to insult Shorty G. So then Shorty G's in the back getting iced down, and I'm saying to myself, when you quit, you're out of the building. You don't get to hang out in the trainer's room or cafeteria and take a shower and get dressed and maybe have something to eat on the way out. You fucking quit your job. You're out the door immediately. Just imagine any of us, if we quit our job And then they see us in the cafeteria, having a cup of coffee. I thought you quit. Oh, I'm just having a cup of coffee first. I just want to, have some free food one last time. Say goodbye to everybody. No, you fucking quit. Fuck out. So Adam Pearce is basically trying to change his mind. And then Shorty G clarifies himself that Shorty G is dead, but, he thinks that it's better suited, that he's better than that, Olympian, this, that. It's just, and he says that there's a name, and he's giving accolades to Gable. So Shorty G was, quote unquote, dead tonight, but Chad Gable is back. Now, I know on paper that sounds great and everything, but tell me what Chad Gable would have done in that match with Lars that would have been different from Shorty G. If you actually think about it, that's more of, in storyline, Chad Gable psyching himself up. Like, oh, I lost, I got my ass kicked, but now I'll be capital G. I'll be the G. I'll be Mr. G. It's sunny out. I'll be Chad Gable. Like, for the writers, it'll be cool to see Chad Gable be taken more seriously. But we need to remember it was the writers that gave him the Shorty G thing. It was the writers that had Shorty G buried on TV. It was the writers that had Shorty G not utilized all that much. It's the same writers that are now just calling him a different name. I mean, think if you're Chad Gable for a minute. Suddenly, because of a name change, the writers think different of you. Does that really make sense? So, although I never liked the Shorty G gimmick, I got to see how much trust WWE or how much faith WWE has in Chad Gable, and what do they do with him? It's the same writers, so I know it sounds cool on a promo and it's emotional and, but if you think about the people online tonight that were like, oh my God, they're going to go back to Chad Gable. Great, 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 great. And if you just take a step back from it, you'd be like, wait a minute. It's the same fucking writers. If they didn't have faith in Shorty G, then what gives you any idea that they're going to have faith because they change his name and he wears, a different outfit? It's still how they use him. So I'm not confident with the writer. I have no problem with Chad Gable. Call him Kermit the Frog if you want. It's like what I said about the Viking Raiders when they first brought him in under the Viking Raider. Everybody was bitching about their name, and you remember what I said. Call him whatever you want. Just utilize them the right way. So, again, thank you, Who Dad. Who's dad gets it. People write the catchy tweet about, oh, he's now Chad Gable. Take him. You actually just stop and think about that for a minute. What does that even mean? Seriously, what does it even mean? Interview with Seth Rollins. I am the savior. Murphy is a walk behind her. Tonight, I will define Murphy's role. And it sounds like fun. Rollins is looking forward to his match with Murphy. So next, we have Bayley's promo. Bayley teasing about not signing the contract. Sasha Banks' music hits. Bayley is sitting in a chair in the middle of the ring. Sasha Banks' music hits. She comes out. She's got a contract in hand. She wants Bayley to sign it. In storyline, why isn't Adam Pearce giving her an ultimatum? Sign the contract or we take your title away. That's not interesting enough, right? I agree. So basically what happens is Sasha Banks starts getting the upper hand against Bayley. First, she puts her head inside the chair. I guess, and give credit for Sasha Banks on this one. You go back and you look at it again. Sasha Banks puts Bayley's head and neck inside the chair. Then Bayley's in the middle of the ring, and she's got the head and the neck inside the chair, and all the cameras are on her. And in storyline, all she had to do was just take it off. So I guess Sasha picked up on that almost immediately, and Sasha put a foot on the leg of the chair to make it look like Bayley can't get out. Very, very smart, because that was about 5 seconds away from looking really, really goofy. They exchanged some offense back and forth with the chair, and Sasha ends up getting Bayley's head on the back of the chair on the inside and forcing Bayley to sign the contract. So the match is official. It will take place at Hell in a Cell. This segment they did tonight with Bayley and Sasha Banks was excellent. Did a great job setting up, the match for the pay-per-view. The final segment with Lars and Otis, Bradshaw is about to make his decision. Bradshaw is basically talking about how you win the Money in the Bank contract. You have a year to defend it, blah, 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 blah. And right before he rules in favor of Otis, Miz realizes he forgot to enter a piece of evidence, very important evidence. And there's a briefcase, a brown briefcase. So Bradshaw is like, you've been interrupting all night long. I'll let it go one more time. This is a blah, 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 blah. We don't see what's in the briefcase, but I think we all realize it's probably beer. Unless I missed a segment later on. Maybe I was taking a leak, which I do during SmackDown. But he gives JBL a suitcase. JBL opens it up, has a big smile on his face. I immediately think, oh, beer. Did they ever reveal on TV what the briefcase was inside? I'm curious. Maybe I missed a segment while I was using the men's room. Like I say, for everybody on audio only, there's like an 8-second. Okay, people are saying that they never revealed on TV what it was. Tony thinks it's money. Money is definitely, smart also. I personally think beer. I think that makes sense. In fact, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't do a segment later on with JBL and Farouk are sitting in the back and they open the briefcase and it's beer. You could have even used Steve Austin's beer if they don't want to use Budweiser's on TV. So, Psycho says it was cash. So, no, nice. They did the ka-ching sound effect, ka-ching, but that doesn't mean it has to be money. I think it should be beer. Maybe we'll get a reveal. And you know what? It probably is money. But see, that's me being a little bit creative. Maybe they don't want to show beer again. But I think if they would have had a segment after where JBL and Farouk are in the back, a little bit of like a shades of APA, they open the briefcase and there's nothing but beer stacked up. They take a beer out each, toast each other. Tell me you wouldn't have liked a segment like that. So, yeah. Could you picture JBL opens the briefcase to Ron Simmons, but we don't see what's inside. He just opens it up. Almost like, opens the briefcase and you see this big light like coming out, like you seen God, you seen the light, and Ron Simmons is like, damn. And then they reveal it's beer. That's what I would have done. So once JBL sees the briefcase, opens it up, he rules in favor, sort of Miz. But what he decides is that Miz versus Otis at Hell in a Cell, winner gets possession of the briefcase. So, yeah, they took this long to set up a match for Hell in a Cell. Okay, whatever. Because we got to see Ron Simmons, because we got to see JBL, because we got to see Theodore Long, because we got to see a couple little... I'm fine with it. Fine with it. It's not a big deal. But, I would have done the beer. Look, money or beer, you can't go wrong either way. So, now we get Rollins versus Murphy. Excellent match. I think a lot of us would agree that match should have been saved for Hell in a Cell. I don't know why it's not at Hell in a Cell. Then again, I'm not saying it had to be inside the cell, but, 3 Hell in a Cell matches, they are going to eat up a lot of time. I think those 3 matches alone will probably eat up about 70 minutes of the pay-per-view at minimum. So we get Rollins and Murphy today. At one point during the match, they teased that Murphy had dislocated his shoulder. And you see Murphy trying to push his shoulder back in the socket outside the ring, and Rollins just goes to town with him. But then Murphy, recovers. And as I said earlier, in the back during the match, you have Aaliyah with, like the look like a goldfish. Like she's like just devastated at what's happening in the match. And Dominic and Ray, as stupid as it, look what I got over here. I just realized it. I used it as a prop, but look. Because we can't have nose hair during the shows, I don't know why I had this over here, but, it's clean, by the way. But, hey, maybe, do you think, by the way, you want to see something funny, everyone? You get a kick out of this. I wasn't going to show it, but I might as well, because I'm guaranteeing somebody later on is going to look behind me and say, why is there a picture of a female on my wall? Do you remember the Booker T Scott Hall segment on TV? Remember Nitro, where Scott Hall gave Booker T a picture of himself, and then The Rock gave Ron Simmons, Farouk, a picture of himself? You know what this one gives me tonight, wrapped up? I kid you not. She gives me a picture of herself for the show. Now, should I do the Booker T pose? I kid you not. This was wrapped up today as a gift. She gave me a picture of herself. She put it back here. Don't ask me why. I'm sure Beavis doesn't mind if you see Beavis and Butthead in the corner. Yeah, she's wacky like that. She's wacky. And she's a wrestling fan. So you really, seriously, you got to thank her. She allows me to do this stuff. All she asks is that I try to do the shows a little bit quicker so I could spend time with her also. But yeah, she's good. She's good. She reflects on me. She's the one that straightens my ass out. And I've told this before, and some of you will get a laugh out of this. The reason why I don't tweet wise-ass stuff anymore, if you notice my Twitter, it's been very boring, but if you notice, I have not tweeted any wise-ass, anything that people could think has a double meaning or anything like that, because a while back, I had written something online, and it was a nice insult about a certain topic. I won't say what it is. And I had said to her, I'm like, honey, look what I just wrote on Twitter. And she looked at me, and all she said was, how old are you? And talk about hurting your ego. I felt like this big. Like I always wanted to lose weight, but I felt probably skinnier than an embryo. I felt so small after she said, I deleted the tweet, and that was pretty much the beginning and the end of my insults on Twitter. Kid you not. So if everyone out there that likes a little bit of the cleaned up Don Tony, you could give her the credit for it, for real. No BS. So, and it's weird that when you say things like that, people think that I'm just trying to rub in their face that I have, a significant other. Like, trust me, for about 10 years, when I was by myself, I was very happy by myself. So, I'm never rubbed that in to anyone because, trust me, if she wasn't around, I'd be very, very happy being by myself right now with all of you. So I'm not kidding either. So anyway, Rollins and Murphy, great match. But as I said before, if Rollins and Murphy does not have anything to do with the Mysterios, Aaliyah, this does not concern us, then why the fuck are you on the monitor watching the match? In storyline, I could see if the whole locker room was watching the match, but why do we see just the Mysterios watching the match, and then you have Ray? Aaliyah, this don't have anything to do with us. Yes, it does, dope. You're watching the fucking match. And again, this is WWE's writing. It's just when you break it up, you realize how dumb that segment was. And then Rollins, and here's another thing too. I'm sure you all figured this out by now, but when Michael Cole, late in a match, goes over the top saying, this would be a huge upset if blah, 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 blah wins, even halfway through a match. Whenever Michael Cole throws that sentence out, you could call Vegas up and say, I'm going to bet $1 million on Rollins winning this match. Michael Cole has been doing that for about 15 years. And it's getting worse now because he says the same goddamn sentence every time. And it's the sentence of death for me when it comes to matches, because halfway into the match, he whips out if Murphy wins, this would be a tremendous upset. And I'm like, this motherfucker just gave away the finish again. And sure enough, curb stomp, done. It's not his fault, but it's spoiled. Like, if you do it at the beginning of the match, it's different because it could go any way. There could be interference, could be this or that. Once it gets halfway or closer to the end of the match and that comment gets thrown out, that's the outcome. It happens on pay-per-view too. You'll start noticing that because I brought it up. So the match is over. Rollins starts Singapore caning Murphy, and the god-awful, do something. Aaliyah, this doesn't concern us. Aaliyah, this doesn't concern us. Well, if you're not going to do anything, then I will. And fucking Dominic and Mysterio, their feet were in quicksand. I mean, I know Ray's had a lot of knee injuries where he can't walk, but they just let and Aaliyah had these giant high heels on, and she's like, if you're not going to help him, then I will. And they just stand there and they look at each other like two dumb twats. Like, again, in storyline, the fuck over you stupid? You ain't going out there. Rollins, you look at my eye. He ripped my eyeball out. Hey, sis, you don't remember what Rollins did to me with the Singapore cane? Remember all the welts? No, they just stand there and they let her go to the ring. They just look at each other. It was like a bad comedy segment. Horrible, horrible writing. And she goes out at ringside. And then the best part, just in storyline, Ray's like, I'm going to go out there and save my daughter before she gets hurt, but hit my fucking music first. Oh, it was so bad. It was so bad. I mean, seriously, I personally think sometimes when the writers come up with stuff like this, I honestly think, like Samoa Joe when he laughed at Ali joining Retribution or the Leader, I think sometimes the writers write this stuff and I think they giggle like, oh man, I can't wait to give this to Mysterio and the family. I think they giggle at how stupid this comes off. And do you notice? Have you noticed ever since I've been bringing up about the potted plant with the nice ass? She disappears. The potted plant. They forgot to water her the last 2 weeks. Soon as we complain. Soon as he complained, the potted plant, she'll be back. She'll be back probably next week. Angie. Angie, the potted plant. So, but that's the god-awful segment. So, now we get Roman Reigns, Jey Uso. Originally, Jey Uso, well, they think it's Jey Uso. Backstage segment. Earlier in the night, Roman Reigns will come out when he's ready to. The usual stick. Roman Reigns hits the ring, about to cut his promo. We see on the screen an Uso, on the TV, half the face blocked off. He's got fruit, he's got this, he's got that, whatever. And basically, it reveals that it's not Jey Uso on the screen, it's Jimmy Uso on the screen, and Jey Uso is right behind Roman Reigns. So they start going at it a little bit, Jey Uso getting a little bit of the upper hand. And then ultimately, because we're supposed to find out tonight, not the consequences of the match, the tribal consequences of the match. And I don't know how to feel about it because you see the Usos walking up the rampway and Roman Reigns reveals that if he loses, he can accept that. That is the tribal consequence, I guess. But if Jey Uso loses, they're out of the family. Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, their wives, their kids, their kids' kids, their kids' babysitters, their kids' babysitters' parents, their kids' babysitters' parents' neighbors, their kids' babysitters' parents' neighbors' cousins, their kids' babysitters' parents' neighbors' cousins' friends. It's like right now I'm doing like that memory game, Simon. Like, can I remember all those things in a row? that's what it is. Like, how do you even like disown people from the family? I mean, this ain't like the mafia. You know, it's just like, are we going to see like random family members of Roman Reigns? Like, is Rikishi going to go on TV and look at Jey Uso and... Kind of a stupid storyline. The only conclusion I could get from that is that that might cause Jimmy Uso to turn on Jey, because Jimmy Uso doesn't want his family banished. Whatever that means. I don't even know what that means. Like, they're not part of the family. Says who? Says Roman? And then what are we getting? We're going to get more potted plants that we don't even know, that aren't in the wrestling, that are going to come out. You're like, you know, I don't know how I feel about that. Those conclusions are quite dopey. And I don't know if I want the Usos to split up. They're trying to get Jey Uso to be a singles player. I don't know how close Jimmy is to returning to the ring, but if he is close to returning to the ring, the Usos together, you know, this isn't like Big E, where Big E is going to break out and they're going to give him a little singles run for now. The Usos together are better than the Usos apart, in my opinion. Because you look at Daniel Bryan, you look at Kevin Owens, you look at Sami Zayn, you look at Aleister Black, you look at AJ Styles, and there's other names I give. You mean to tell me that somehow we're going to see some leapfrogs? What's going to happen? Jimmy and Jey are going to feud with each other for 2-3 months? I'm not sure if I'm feeling that. But I'm kind of thinking that, you know, not being part of the family, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. So, yeah, of course. You're right. Roman is the alpha male of the family. He is the alpha male of the family. But I'm not sure how that plays off on TV after. You know, there's got to be a swerve. Roman Reigns ain't losing the belt. It's inside a cell. It's got to be an I Quit match. So, you know, are we going to get, you know, since they did Twin Magic, are we going to get something where Jimmy Uso says I quit and we think it's Jey? I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, the only thing I could see, maybe, if The Rock is going to be able to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, the only thing I could see is Jey Uso losing the match. No heel turn by Jimmy, but Jey Uso, or maybe heel turn, but Jey Uso loses the match. Now Roman Reigns says that the Usos are no longer part of the family, and this causes The Rock to show up, and The Rock confronts Roman Reigns. That is the only scenario that I could think of that would make more sense, because you don't have to adhere to that stipulation, because the stipulation just sounds like a god-awful saga to play out on TV. That before there's even like a banishment, The Rock shows up. Roman, what are you doing? What are you doing to our family? This is that. And maybe that leaves. And thank you. Thank you, everybody. That's why, like I say, man, when you have my undivided attention and nothing to bring us down, you know, the mind seems to work a little bit better. And who knows, we may get none of that. But, you know, I like to throw ideas around that would work on TV. And sometimes they sound like better ideas than what we get. But I think if The Rock is going to face Roman, you could plant the seed now and let it lead up to WrestleMania. I mean, you know, Rock doesn't even have to be there in person. Rock could do simulcast, you know, a Zoom call. I think The Rock should be there. The Rock should confront Roman Reigns face to face. But I think, if you ask me, this could be the opening for The Rock to enter this storyline. Even if The Rock ends up not wrestling Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, this could add a twist to the storyline. Remember, I said that if it happens. Then you'll have 50 podcasters. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. Then why didn't you say anything? So, with that said, everybody, let's do predictions for Hell in a Cell. So far, only 5 matches. For those on Patreon with the predictions contest, I am going to put up the thread Saturday afternoon around lunchtime. That'll give everybody slightly more than 24 hours to submit your entry. That's more than enough time. It's not brain surgery. Predict the outcomes. I think 24 hours is fair. The only reason I'm waiting until Saturday afternoon is to see if any other matches are added. Right now, we only have 5. And let's get into them. Now, remember, the last 43 pay-per-view matches, my prediction, and the proof is there, my record is 41-2. God awful, that fucking Lashley match, man. That Lashley match. If it wouldn't have been, oh, man. Too little overthinkings, could have been 43-0. So 41-3, but I will tell you, honestly, this pay-per-view Sunday, really, with the exception of 2 matches, maybe 3, I'm really undecided. And I'll be honest with you, when you really cannot predict the winner, sometimes those are the most fun matches to enjoy. You know, when you pretty much can predict, like Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso, I'll throw that one out there right now. I don't think anybody out there alive thinks Roman Reigns is losing his championship. Doesn't make sense. It would not make sense. So Roman Reigns, you could bet the ranch, is going to win this one. The only thing we're just trying to find out is what shenanigans are going to lead up to it. Does Jimmy Uso turn on Jey? Does Jimmy Uso say, I quit, not Jey? Or do we get a little twin magic? Is there going to be some hokey stuff going on? And as I said a few minutes ago, does this open up the opportunity for The Rock to get involved in this storyline? Because, man, like I said, that idea of the tribal consequence that they're banished from the family, how does it even play off on TV? Is it like Booker T when he lost his name and he was G.I. Bro and W said, what did they do? I mean, could you just imagine on TV? It just doesn't make sense. Like, how would you even make that, like, how do you show that on TV? The Usos come home and, you know, like the locks are changed? It's very, very dumb. So I think what they do is before the storyline gets stupid, The Rock may show up. And it diverts everything. The Rock ruins everything on Roman Reigns. So I'm going to go with Roman Reigns to win and retain, obviously. Jeff Hardy versus Elias. Jeff Hardy had a nice run with the belt. Had some decent wins, a feud with Sheamus. He lost to Lars recently, and that was to help give Lars a little bit of momentum. Elias is back. Elias, obviously, in my opinion, should not be pinned whatsoever. I think this comes down to 2 things. Either Elias wins or Elias gets disqualified for using the guitar. So I think basically, you know, those are the choices we have. Jeff Hardy winning on DQ. It's the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view theme. I don't think any matches should end on DQ. So I am going to go with Elias getting the win. But I think Elias will obviously, you know, assault Jeff Hardy with some foreign object. Hopefully he doesn't get disqualified. And the thing that sucks, if you remember the stuff with Lashley, like I started thinking about DQs and everything like that. And if I would have just stuck with my original prediction, I would have gotten those 2 matches right. So I'm going to, it's almost like the same thing if you think about it. So I'm going to go with Elias winning. I think Elias, especially coming back and they need a little momentum, a DQ finish for me is not enough. I think Elias should maybe knock out Jeff Hardy with a guitar or something, and he gets the pin. I don't want to see Elias disqualified on Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Otis versus Miz. Winner keeps the Money in the Bank contract. I don't think anybody out there wants to see Miz with the contract. Miz has been losing a hell of a lot of matches. Yes, Miz and Mrs. is returning in November. Gets a little momentum there. But Otis needs to be able to cash in and get a title opportunity. If Otis loses that contract, that it almost feels like he has no shot of getting gold anytime soon. Because do you want to see Otis just challenge someone for a belt and win? Or do you want to see Otis cash in and everybody sees that little suspense of Otis cashing in and gets the win? Sure, you don't have live fans making the loud noise. I'll never forget that Ziggler cash in. One of my favorite moments of Ziggler's career. Go back and watch it. The crowd erupted. So I think Otis, he lost Mandy. He lost his tag team partner. I don't think he needs to lose the contract as well. So I am going to go with Otis to win, keep the contract. Remember, Otis is on SmackDown. Miz is on Raw. So we somehow got a Raw versus SmackDown match. I don't know if anybody noticed that tonight. So I'm going to say Otis wins and keeps his contract. Next, we have the two matches that I'm very, very torn about. Bayley versus Sasha Banks. I know some of you out there are having some friendly conversation. Which match should close out the night? Roman Reigns and Jey Uso or Bayley, Sasha Banks? Personally, and this is not a sexist thing or anything like that, I personally think Roman Reigns and Jey Uso should close out the night. Some of you would prefer to see Bayley and Sasha Banks. I think because of the storyline swerves and twists, I think you go off the air with question marks, and I don't think we're going to have those question marks in the Bayley-Sasha Banks match. Now, Asuka is the Raw Women's Champion. We have Survivor Series coming up soon, and we're going to probably have champions versus champions. I don't think Asuka versus Sasha Banks would be the way to go. A lot of people think that Sasha Banks should win the Women's Royal Rumble and challenge Bayley again at WrestleMania. That's an awfully long time to have this feud, stretch out. I'm not sure if they go that long. I personally think right now, although Sasha Banks' pay-per-view record has not been all that spectacular, I think Bayley squeaks out the win once again. And I think they want to have more time of Sasha Banks chasing that title. The problem is, we're going backwards again. They're having their match at Hell in a Cell. Usually Hell in a Cell ends a feud. You don't want to have that. And then any stipulations after that, it's like a step down. So I'm a little annoyed that they're having their first match technically at Hell in a Cell. They had that SmackDown match, but we knew it was going to end in clusterfuck. So this is not the end of their feud, no matter what. So I am going to go with Bayley to retain, and this storyline stretches out a little bit further. Like I said, especially with Survivor Series, I kind of think Asuka versus Bayley versus possibly the NXT Women's Championship. That would be an interesting match. Io Shirai versus Asuka versus Bayley. Maybe somebody gets involved. Who knows? Wait a minute. Is Sasha Banks is a Raw wrestler now. Am I correct? Isn't Sasha Banks a Raw wrestler now? Just somebody in the chat. Unfortunately, I'm sorry for repeating myself. I know there's like an 8-second delay. But isn't Sasha Banks a Raw star? A Raw wrestler? I'm just waiting for somebody to confirm. No, Michael Gonzalez says she's not. She's SmackDown. So Bayley and Sasha Banks remain on SmackDown. Okay, so this feud could go further. Okay, so that convinces me. That feud could go further. If Sasha Banks was drafted to Raw, I don't know why I was having a brain fart there, then I would be like, okay, how do they continue this feud if they're on separate brands? So, no. Sasha Banks will lose, and this feud will continue. Will someone interfere? Possibly. Very possible. So I'm going to go with Bayley to retain. That leaves Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton. I tell you, I've been following Randy Orton his entire career. I don't recall any time in his career losing this many pay-per-view matches for a title shot against the same person. And so far I have predicted every match outcome correct for Drew McIntyre's reign. This one I am really undecided about. Jay Carlos, I don't know if I'm going to review Bound for Glory. I think Mish and I will talk about it for a few minutes on Monday, only because there's such a small audience that is going to watch it that spend 10, 15 minutes on Monday and talk about it. Because look, there's going to be a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view recap. No reason for us to talk about Hell in a Cell on Monday. Maybe the fallout from it. Monday's going to be pretty much Raw and nothing else. So Monday, Mish and I will be doing Bound for Glory. We'll talk about it. I'm watching it. I'm definitely, in fact, we're gaming Saturday night. If anybody wants to join us, we're not only playing Jackbox this time, Jackbox 7, but we're playing a game called Among Us. I'm sure a lot of you have played that game before. We played last night for about an hour. And, man, people kept killing me. You want Mish, Krauser, everybody. So, yeah, if you want to join us, the Discord channel, it's open to everybody. You're all invited. So anyway, Randy Orton, I just can't see him losing this many pay-per-view matches in a row. And what also concerns me is what happens after. If Randy Orton loses, Randy Orton comes out on Raw and Drew McIntyre, is just a better man. I just can't see that. I know a lot of you out there find it unfair that Drew McIntyre will be, as I've coined, he is the COVID champion. We look back at COVID, Drew McIntyre was the COVID champion. I know we all want to see him have the title and defend it in front of a live crowd. The problem is we're going into November. We're going into December. We don't know when WWE is going to be able to have a large crowd again. So you cannot have this man have a title reign and extend it simply because you want him to have it in front of a live crowd. It's not the way you do business. And Drew McIntyre has had a great run, but I'll be honest with you, this pay-per-view, and I've been saying this for about a month now, this pay-per-view is the only one where I have really thought, I don't think he's going to win it. Like all the other ones, I didn't even think twice. When Randy Orton RKO'd him that early time, a while back, months ago, I said, okay, Claymore out of nowhere. We got that cheap, roll-up finish, and then we got another match, the ambulance match, and it was always special circumstances. Yes, Randy Orton could lose Hell in a Cell, and Randy Orton is losing under special circumstances. Not a clean pin, straight-up loss. Drew McIntyre could get the title back next year. He could possibly win it next year at WrestleMania in front of a live crowd. He could win it at all different times. He could win the Royal Rumble two years in a row. The only question I have for all of you out there right now is, who does Randy Orton feud with if he wins this title? I look at the Raw roster. I'm a little undecided. I don't know where they will go with that. But I'll be honest with you, I just can't see Randy Orton. The Fiend is not a bad idea, but the Fiend, unless Randy Orton's going to do something with Retribution, that's a wild card. Because remember, Randy Orton wanted to help some of the younger guys, the FTR. And he had a couple of guys under his wing. Even he tried to offer a little bit of guidance for Garza and Andrade. So I wonder if Randy Orton maybe gets involved with Retribution in some way. Be interesting. And because maybe the Fiend having a little bit of interaction with Retribution, maybe Randy Orton ends up doing something with Retribution, and as a hybrid, or the Fiend takes on Randy Orton. That is a possibility. That is a possibility. I don't think El Gordo Gringo or Gringo Gordo El Fato, I don't think he will be taking on Randy Orton. I know some of you have this wild idea of Randy Orton winning the title Sunday and then Otis cashing in. You know, anything is possible, so I'm not going to discount that. But I'll be honest with you, everyone. As much as I would love to see Drew McIntyre keep that belt a little bit longer, I think maybe it's time that he loses the title. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, you know. I mean, even if I end up being 0-5, I still got a pretty good record for the last bunch of months. But I'm going to go with Randy Orton to win the title. So when you go back and you look at the match situation, Otis, babyface, winner. Elias, heel, winner. Bayley, heel, winner. Randy Orton, heel, winner. Roman Reigns, heel, winner. Wow, you'd have, oh, whoa. Now I'm starting to dislike. Well, you know what? We'll probably have 1 or 2 extra matches added to it. So those matches will probably have some baby faces winning. But the way you look at it right now, that's 4 out of 5 heels winning. That's kind of a hard sell. But again, we'll probably get an extra match or 2. Look, you never know. Maybe we get Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens versus Street Profits. If that's the case, Street Profits will win. If we get Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn will win. But I kind of think, you know, maybe Street Profits get a little bit of a rub. Maybe Asuka gets an impromptu title match. She's a baby face, so maybe Asuka gets challenged by Lacey Evans or someone. So even though these 5 matches, I'm predicting 4 out of 5 to be heels, I think we'll get 1 or 2 matches added to it, and those matches will probably see some baby faces win. So that's it. Those are my predictions. We will see what happens. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I think it's going to be a decent pay-per-view. 3 Hell in a Cell matches is a lot to take in. Obviously, they're going to be all different. Bayley versus Sasha, you know, they're going to have to get very creative. Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre, I mean, Randy Orton's a veteran. Randy Orton knows what to do. Not worried about there. And Roman Reigns and Jey Uso, since it's I Quit, there's going to be a lot of methodical violence, you know, so I think they'll deliver. But that's pretty much it. So with that, everybody, I am going to jet out for tonight. I am going to check out later on tonight because I know Tony Gloss mentioned it, that Paul Heyman went off script on Talking Smacked. So I don't know exactly what he talked about. Where is the Riot Squad right now? Probably in their hotel room. You know, it's late. It's 12:30 in the morning. You know, I don't think they're at bars. You know, it's COVID. So it's just me. That's vintage me. I've said this before, but whenever anybody asks me in the wee hours of the morning, like, where's so-and-so? My answer is usually, oh, they're probably sleeping. You know, oh, where is Steve Blackman? He's probably sleeping. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. So, no, but Riot Squad, hey, you know, we may end up seeing Riot Squad versus Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. Personally, I don't think that is needed for Sunday. You know, I understand, you know, they're the tag champs, so maybe they should be defending the title. But now you do that, you start, okay, what about Asuka? All right, what about Street Profits? Okay, what about New Day? Once you start doing that, you know, then you ended up with 10 matches. And with 3 Hell in the Cells, you know, there's only going to be 6 to 7 matches at the most. So I don't think Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax are needed for this Sunday. So we will see what happens. But everyone, enjoy the rest of the weekend. Don't forget, Sunday, I will be doing a Q&A. I am probably going to start recording it Saturday. Because I'm not doing it live, I could record some, pause it, record more, pause it again, And then Sunday, I'll wrap it up. I'll have it on this channel by Sunday afternoon, way before Hell in a Cell. But there's no rush for you to watch it anyway. So if you submitted a question or questions, I will answer them all. Last time I answered everybody. And then we'll do that again in 2 weeks. And then don't forget, this Monday, Mish and I will be on with Raw. We'll talk, the Bound for Glory, because it is Impact's biggest pay-per-view of the year. They definitely deserve the respect to have it talked about a little bit. So we'll do that on Monday. And don't forget, Sunday night, right after the pay-per-view, I will be right here with your Hell in a Cell recap. I don't know if Mish is going to be joining me because he's probably going to be doing a Wrestling Soup version of Hell in a Cell. If it ends up that Joey Numbers is not doing a show with him for any reason, then we will do a joint effort. But I will tell you that we'll probably know by Saturday, so, it's not going to be any suspense. If we end up doing it together, I will announce it early on. And but either way, Sunday you'll get the Q&A. Sunday you'll get the pay-per-view recap. Monday you'll get Mish and I together, and then we have Tuesday on Patreon. Next Wednesday, AEW and Halloween Havoc. And Halloween Havoc, 3-4 good matches. It's just unfortunate. I think some of the outcomes we could all predict, but I still think it's going to be a good night. So everyone, have a great weekend. Stay safe. As always, much love. I can't thank you all enough for the support. Before you go, I know I sound like a broken record, and it's funny. I've been watching a ton of cooking channels on YouTube. A lot of keto stuff, trying to get recipes and things like that. And at the end of every video, I see it, and, I'm still new to YouTube here, but I see everybody, hey, before you go, if you like, the show, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell if you want to be notified. So I will be the broken record and say it like everyone else. If you enjoyed the show, it doesn't cost anything. Give me feedback. Give it a thumbs up, thumbs down, however you feel about it. Any comments on anything that I said tonight, if you want to add to it, please post a comment in the chat. I read them all. And that's pretty much it. So, everyone, have a great weekend. Much love as always, and thank you for spending some time with yours truly. So, I am out of here, and I'll see you all again Sunday. Or maybe Saturday night if you get a game with us. So, ciao, everybody. Much love as always. Good night.